AITA for leaving my partner at home because his OCD made me late to a dinner party at a restaurant. I, 29F, have been with my partner, 33M, for 4 years. We've had a good relationship overall. He's kind, caring, and honestly one of the most thoughtful people I know. But over the past year, his OCD has gotten significantly worse, and it's starting to dominate our lives in ways I don't think he fully realizes. I want to start by saying, I know OCD is a serious mental health condition. I know it's not something he can just snap out of or fix overnight. I've tried to educate myself about it, and I've done my best to be supportive, patient, and understanding. But there comes a point where the impact on our day-to-day lives becomes unbearable, and I'm honestly at my breaking point. When we first started dating, my partner had a few habits that I now realize were part of his OCD. He'd double-check the locks on the doors before we left the house, make sure the stove was off, that kind of thing. It wasn't extreme, and honestly, I just thought he was being cautious. I didn't mind waiting an extra minute or two while he made sure everything was okay. But over the past year, his routines have become so much more intense. It's not just checking the doors and stove anymore. It's repeating certain phrases under his breath, checking every window in the house multiple times, and doing these internal mental checks that can take upwards of 30 minutes. It's no longer just a small quirk. It's something that has started to consume large chunks of our time together. The worst part is that he refuses to get professional help. I've brought it up gently so many times. I've suggested therapy, even offered to help him find a therapist who specializes in OCD. But he always shuts it down. He insists he can handle it on his own and that it's not that bad. But it is that bad. It's affecting both of our lives, and I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, afraid of triggering a routine or making him feel like I'm dismissing his struggles. We're late to almost everything these days. Family gatherings, appointments, movies, it doesn't matter. If we have somewhere to be, I've learned to add at least 30 extra minutes to our prep time, sometimes more. But even with that buffer, we still end up running late. And it's exhausting. 2 weeks ago, my boss invited us to a dinner party at a really nice restaurant to celebrate a recent promotion I'd gotten. This promotion was a big deal to me. I've been working so hard for this, and this dinner felt like a recognition of all the effort I've put in. Plus, it was a chance to connect with my boss and coworkers outside of the usual work setting. In short, this night mattered to me a lot. I was already nervous about it because I wanted to make a good impression, but I was especially worried about whether we'd be able to get there on time. I knew my partner's routines would be an issue, so I tried to plan ahead. I told him we needed to leave at 6:30 p.m., but I asked him to start getting ready at 4:30 p.m., 2 whole hours beforehand. I framed it in a way that wouldn't make him feel rushed or pressured. I said something like, let's start early so we don't have to stress about time. And to his credit, he did start getting ready at 4:30. But as the evening went on, I could feel that familiar knot of anxiety building in my stomach. At first, he was just getting dressed and checking his hair, normal stuff. But then the routine started. The stove, the windows, the locks, the repeated phrases under his breath. I watched as the minutes ticked by, and I started to feel panicked. At 6:15, I reminded him gently, hey, we need to leave in 15 minutes. He said, I know, I'm almost done. But he wasn't. At 6:30, when we were supposed to be walking out the door, he was still mid-routine. I reminded him again, more firmly this time, we're going to be late. I really need us to go now. But he couldn't stop. I could see the frustration on his face too. He didn't want to be stuck in his cycle. But he couldn't break free from it. At 6:45, I had a choice to make. If I stayed and waited for him to finish, we'd likely be 30 minutes late, if not more. And showing up that late to an event hosted by my boss felt unthinkable. So I made the call. I grabbed my purse, looked at him, and said, I'm so sorry, but I have to go. And I left. I felt sick the entire drive to the restaurant. I kept replaying the moment in my head, wondering if I should have stayed, if I should have tried harder to calm him down or help him through his routine. But I also felt relief that I was going to make it to this important dinner on time. I ended up being 5 minutes late, which wasn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things. My coworkers were friendly and understanding, and I blamed traffic for the delay. The dinner went well, and for a few hours, I managed to push my guilt aside and just enjoy myself. But when I got home later that night, the tension was palpable. My partner was furious. He said I'd abandoned him, that I wasn't being supportive, that I should have waited for him no matter what. I tried to explain my side, that this dinner was incredibly important for my career, that I'd asked him to start getting ready 2 hours early, that I'd waited as long as I could. But he wasn't hearing it. He said that I made him feel like he was a burden, like his OCD was an inconvenience to me. And honestly, it is an inconvenience. But it's also so much more than that. It's heartbreaking, because I can see how much he struggles with it, how much he wishes he could just stop. But he can't, and it's eating away at both of us. It's been 2 weeks, and things are still tense between us. He's been distant and cold. We're barely speaking, and when we do, it's clipped and awkward. I feel guilty, but I also feel angry. I feel like I've done everything I can to be supportive, but his refusal to get help is making it impossible for us to move forward. I don't know what to do. I love him, but I also feel like I'm drowning. I can't keep living like this. Constantly late, constantly anxious, constantly worried about how his routines are going to affect our plans. But I also can't imagine walking away from him, knowing how much he's struggling. So, Ida, was I wrong for leaving him at home that night? Should I have stayed, even if it meant risking my reputation at work? Or was I justified in prioritizing something that was so important to me?